Let's talk about how to train, because there's a lot of things you can do beyond improving somebody's technique to get them to perform better. And I've helped a lot of players in my day, not with no technical changes, just making everything a little bit more effective as far as the time they invest. So there's a proper balance in this training. I call it working hard and smart, and we want to not confuse that with just putting the time in, because we want to make sure that the fundamentals are correct every day. We want to enhance or develop our skills, and we want to make that have as high transfer value to real golf performing under the gun as possible. And the key to that is really, once again, in the mix of the training. So let's take a look at this practice formula and just look at this mix that I've created for you. Imagine you have an hour of practice time, and for 20% of the time, we're going to do block practice, or blocked practice means one repetition after the other in a learning environment so that I can get confirmation that I'm doing everything right that I decided to do with my fundamental plan. So if I have 5 fundamentals, I want to check them. I want to create the environment and check my setup. Well, let's say I've been struggling with my playing. How can I, in a minute or less, check to make sure that my swing plane is good? So if you're Ben Crane, and when Ben and I first started, one of the things we did, he would look in the mirror, and as he looked in the mirror, he would check his plane. He'd try to make sure that the head of the club stayed outside his hands, because his motor pattern was to bow his wrist and get the club in and shut. So his block practice every day, I said, okay, Ben, 1 minute a day, you're going to find the mirror in your hotel room or in your house, and you're going to practice the backswing plane of the club working up the plane, toe up. That's a great example of block practice. The goals would be to get confirmation as quickly as possible, to know that you're doing it exactly right, and be done with it as quickly as you can. That's not what people do. People fall in love with block practice. The lure of it is really due to the fact that it's easy to perform when you're doing one after the other. So if you have a pile of balls, if you have a student with a pile of balls doing one after the other to the same target, to the same spot, they're not working hard, because the problem-solving skills, the judgment skills needed to play well in golf, they really only repped it one time. It was the first shot. After that point, they're just using the same information to do the same shot over and over. And as a result, the performances look spectacular. It's easy when you're doing 20 in the same time to get the ball all close to the green, the pin. The problem, of course, is that creates a false sense of competency, false confidence, and that all comes crashing down when you get to the golf course. The reality is we need to transition into random practice. And if you can see here, that is fully 70% of your training time. So 20% was block. Maybe that 1 hour time frame, I did no more than 10 minutes. Then for 30 or 40, I'm going to put balls, and I'm going to scatter them everywhere. And I'm going to practice the art of wedge play, different trajectories, different shot choices. I'm going to assess each ball anew. And so the rules would be change clubs, change targets, use your full process. In other words, the steps you go through to get ready. That's really the key to learning and growing. And remember, the skills build over time, like this. It's not an epiphany. It's something that happens over judging, and the only way you can really, truly learn is to judge and screw up, and you may learn something that may help you for the rest of your career, and that is a meaningful practice rep. So go from block practice first to random practice, all clubs, all targets. So when I have a student out there with just one club, I know they're not working hard. They got to have all their clubs that they would use in a finesse wedge situation. And lastly, we're going to go to game playing. Game playing, I think, is the best form of practice, because we're doing the random practice, even though it might be structured into a game. And there's always a bit of pressure when you have to keep score, and there's a winning score and a losing score. So my favorite game is just playing 21, and that is 9 holes of up and in. I'm going to give myself 3 easy up and in opportunities, typically the kind I would be trying to chip in, 3 difficult ones, maybe a flop shot over a bunker or a downhill lie in the rough, and 3 just normal difficulty. And if you or your student can get 6 of those balls up and in, and the other 3 get down in 3 or less, or 3. So you had 6 up and in and 3 down in 3, so that would be a total of 21 strokes. And I use that kind of as a barometer, a benchmark for my better players that want to be tournament players. They should get the score of 21 or less. Now, if I have a higher handicap player, I can make that score commensurate with their current skill level and say, okay, you're going to play 23. And whatever it is, they're striving to shoot a personal score. They have to post a number. And a lot of times I'll actually ask those players as a coach to text me their score because I know then they're working both hard and smart. So remember, there needs to be balance in practice. Let's go through those one more time. The individual elements of block practice, random practice, and game playing.